Hey, John here. In this video, I'm going to step you through a process I use to analyze new niche ideas. Now, I've been in enough niches where I typically have a pretty good idea of whether it's something I want to get into or not. But for folks who are new to this is a process that might help you narrow down your options and hopefully come up with the winner. So, I like this site just to get sort of a bird's eye view of some big topics out there, because if there's a print magazine dedicated to a topic, that is obviously a fairly popular topic and it's going to have already a sizable audience. And these are the obvious things. Now, I'm going to come out straight up and say I'm not big on celebrity websites. Now, they can get a ton of traffic. You need an absolute ton of traffic on celebrity stuff just because the ad revenue is typically quite low and the affiliate options aren't great. So if you're all about the celebrity stuff, by all means, go for it. But keep that in mind. Like 30,000 visitors a month is going to earn peanuts. So I'm not big on celebrity stuff. I'm fine adding celebrity oriented content within the niche. In fact, I do that. I think that's a good idea. But to just do a sort of a celebrity news type thing, unless it's like your passion or something, I'm just not really big on it. It's kind of like the movie reviews site I had bought, and it's just there's not really much money in it. These are sort of the exceptions. For the most part, all of these niches have good money. Like even food, I've noticed that can get some pretty good ad revenue, surprisingly. So that's a huge topic alone. So that's an obvious one. Parenting, big. I would be a little bit careful with parenting, especially if you veer into the health side and pediatric sort of stuff. You're veering into the whole health thing, and unless you're credentialed, I wouldn't touch that. Style, fashion, huge, of course. Men's health, fitness. Again, you might be veering into some health angles of the niche, which could make it a little bit more difficult. The whole health arena is, you've got to show your credentials. You got to build up some sort of trust and authority with Google, and they got to deem you like you actually like know what you're talking about, or they're not going to give you the time of day in the search engine. So it's called, it's a result of the Medic update a couple of years ago. I think it's also referred to as your money and your life type niche site. So you got to be careful about that before you hit anything in health and money. You got to consider that very carefully. So okay, we've got here, but this site is a wealth of information. You're going to get all sorts of good stuff here. So you could just go through and get ideas of angles. Like even the magazines will do sort of cross niche stuff, like Good Housekeeping. That's food. That's going to be home decor. That's going to be just a general lifestyle type website that all pertains around family and home. So that's interesting. Same with Woman's World. That's going to cover beauty. That's going to cover fashion. It's going to cover health, right? So it's sort of like these these multiple niches all wrapped up into one, targeting a particular audience who's interested in that. I actually really like these approaches to niches. This is one of my favorites. I'm really I just like the flexibility it gives you, and yet it still all makes sense, to like have a home site where there's food and then there's, home stuff and Christmas stuff and all that. It all kind of melds together and it works, but it gives you a ton of flexibility. Same with it, like, I wouldn't do a women's world site. I would do sort of more of a men's. In fact, that would be kind of fun to do because I have interest in things that are related to men, like men's fashion, men's fitness. That's what I do. So, I like that approach. I really do. Then you got eating well, and so on we go. Surprise, surprise! I actually started a sort of a science, nature type site, and it's one that I'm selling. That was actually a tough one to let go. This is so surprising, and a lot of traffic in that niche, and the ad rates were quite good. So and it's a lot of fun if you have a curiosity about those things. So just go here, comb through, and you look for some ideas. Okay, so I've sort of touched upon the big ones, but that's not where I want to go. What I want to do next is go through. Okay, so we've picked one. Let's just for fun pick food. Okay. So how do we tackle that? Well, what you need to do, and they have a nice list here, which is really pretty much like a master list of the bigger niches right there. Like it's like spoon fed to you. Okay, so let's say we pick food. Where do we go from that, right? Because if I go into Ahrefs and I type in food, right, I'm going to get obviously hard, right? I'm going to get food oriented keywords. And this doesn't even scratch the surface. And in fact, it's dealing now with all like delivery. And this is probably not the angle you're going to want, right? This is not really doing anything for you. So what you need to do is you need to come and you need to start thinking about more seed keywords in the niche. So what are we talking about when we say food? Well, we're talking about different types of food, right? We've got dinner, breakfast, snacks. We've got different diets. You might want to do a diet angle, right? We've got keto, vegan, etc. And then we've got actual different food, right? Chicken, prawns, lettuce. I mean, the list goes on, right? So there's so many different angles when we're talking about food, and they're all going to mold together. This is one of those niches that it has essentially an infinite number of angles and approaches. Okay, so then we've got lettuce. So these are going to be your actual seed keywords in this niche. Food is actually not, or even cooking isn't. Baking isn't. These might be sort of angles you take, but you really, and this is going to apply to any niche you go to. If we're going to do like a men's oriented site, if we're going to do an automobile oriented site, right? If I put in autos or even cars, right, that's not going to be super helpful at this point, right? So when you read lists of niches, you're going to be like, oh, okay, cars. Yeah, great idea, right? So you come here, you type in cars. It's got 843,000. Okay, well, obviously big time volume, but like we're not getting a whole lot of good info here. We're not breaking it down, right? So like food with cars, there's going to be SUVs. There's going to be crossovers, station wagons. Not sure if that's one word or not. And then we're going to end up with different companies, brands, right? BMW, Audi, Toyota, list them all out. We're going to get that. Then we're going to get budget, luxury, right? You need to start breaking out your main seed keywords here. And because this analysis is part of what I consider the most important metric in terms of coming up with the niche. And what I like to see is that I've got an absolute ton of potential articles that I can publish on that are fairly long tail, fairly low competition. I don't expect that I'm going to rank for BMW. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is I want to sort of break it out and get a sense of, am I talking like I got a potential 500 decent articles that I could write? I wouldn't do that. That's too small for me. Unless there was a different approach to it, like there was a really sweet affiliate product that I could promote and it would pay really well. And so that would be sort of a smaller site that I could get behind. But if we're talking about like these big, fun niche sites that just grow forever and get bigger and bigger and bigger, just like our magazine type sites, right? Then I am going to be interested in literally 10, 20, 100,000 keywords. Now, I'm not going to find them all now during this process. I just want to get an idea of whether it's out there or not. Okay, so like in minutes, I've been able to sort of break down niches into general. And I wouldn't start listing like every single food here and then start adding up everything. What I'm going to do is, I mean, I could tell you right now, I put in chicken, right? I put in chicken in here. And that alone is so much search volume and various keywords that it could be a whole niche. You could do a whole website on chicken related to food. Yeah, I suppose you could do it for raising chickens too. That's popular, but I'd be more interested in the food angle. Chicken, right? I mean, look at this. Okay, right now we could enter in one word. I could tell you right now, if this is what the results I get for chicken, and there are literally probably, I don't know, 1,000 different food items that you can put in. You can see now it's an infinite list. So, okay, this has completely met the criteria that I really like in terms of there is a lot of content I could cover here. Boom, done. Food could be on the list. Now, I'm going to tell you right now about food before you get all excited and jump into this. I truly think the best way to approach food for the most part is that you're going to have an actual recipes component to the site where you're actually doing the recipes, you're making the food, you're taking the photos, okay? That's going to be sort of your foundation. That's you may not even rank for those, but what I believe that will do for your site, it will give you the credibility for everything else you write about food. Now, can you get away with it without doing the recipes? Because they are a lot of work and they're expensive if you hire someone to do them because they are a lot of work. You probably could. You could probably rank and do okay. But in my view, I sort of like to build sites where there's a solid credibility behind it. So if I was going to do this, I would have, in fact, I do have a recipe writer who I work with, and we publish 5 recipes a week. So I'm talking from personal experience here. And I don't mind sharing that because, as you can see, there are literally probably 100 million keywords. So there's room for everybody here. But I could tell you the only reason I do it is I'm able to actually have someone do the recipes, take the photos, do the recipe schema markup with a plugin. And what that does is it lends a lot of credibility to the whole foundation of the food element, right? I write about other food topics, but I can always link it back to our recipes page and be like, hey, look I've got an actual cook here who knows what she's doing and makes awesome food, and this is what we're doing, and this is our site. So that's my view on that. Cars is a bit of a different matter. Cars is a fun niche, also lucrative and huge. So if we entered in Toyota. So we just start banging out these keywords we're finding. These main seed keywords. We're going to start banging out. We just want to get an idea. Again, like food, I mean, the volume's nuts. Now, are you going to rank for Toyota? Of course you're not going to rank for Toyota. Probably never, right? And you shouldn't rank for Toyota. Toyota should rank #1 for Toyota. But when we put in, okay, so we're going to find that, and we're going to go, oh, Toyota RAV4. We're always peeling the onion, okay? You're gonna see that throughout the bundle of courses, peeling the onion. We're just, okay, next one, put it in. Now, what happens if we put in some qualifiers, right? We're going to, let's see, oh, look at this. I mean, this alone, okay. Yeah, we could probably have a whole site dedicated to Toyota. I'm a big Toyota fan. We've owned 3 Toyotas now, and we still have one. Highlander, great car, great family car. Toyota versus, do some other ones. If you get the Longtail Pro, well, if you're in the bundle, you get that. I have a list of like 100+ of these little qualifiers you can put before and after and all these sort of things. That's just going to really, really peel deep. I mean, you just do this in these types of niches, and it's just like the list just go on and on and on and on and on. Okay, so I'm I think I've demonstrated here how you want to approach these niches. You've got to break it down. Don't just put in food. Don't just put in cars and assess it from that. When you're assessing these to really see what the potential in keywords, this is the process you want to do. And you want to do it for any one of those that you do. It really doesn't take that long. Now, if you don't have Ahrefs, you could do it in this keywordshitter.com. Okay. Still love that name. It's funny. Guy has a sense of humor. Gotta love people with a sense of humor in this business. Okay. So if we put in Toyota, what do we get? You're not going to get volume here. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get volume. I think there are some extensions, keywords everywhere that you can add to this where you could get, but I think it's paid now. I'm not really sure. I used to use it when it was free. Okay. So what we're getting here is a sense of what sort of variety are we getting? Is there a lot or is there little? Like sometimes you'll put a keyword in here and it might generate like 20 results. That's actually not very many. As you can see here, this is just grinding. What Keyword Shitter does is it pulls out all the auto-suggest in Google. So you can see it does the top 10 and then it does like Toyota A, Toyota AA, and then it does the top 10 of those, and then Toyota B, Toyota C. And so as you can see, if it's a big niche with a lot of searches, we're going to get lots and lots of keywords here. This is not as good or precise as Ahrefs to be able to get a sense, but if you don't have Ahrefs, then this is something that could help you decide what you need to do. Another option is this. Now, Answer the Public is something I really love. I pay for the Pro. You can get 2, I believe, free searches per day. Otherwise, you got to pony up for the Pro. Unfortunately, it's $100 a month. I think it's too expensive. I think they'd get a lot more people paying for this if they price it at 20, because it really does just one thing. But what it does really, really, really well. And so I like this. This can be a good way if you don't have Ahrefs to get a sort of sense of what sort of volume we're getting. Okay, now, what this does too is it does basically what Keyword Shitter does, but it comes up with the various questions based on your various approaches to asking questions, and it lists them out. So I like this tool more for, why did I put in Teachable? I'm not even thinking here. Let's go back. think I saw that somewhere. I'm writing about teachable Toyota. We should get a lot more. This is really great for keyword research to add topics and questions in your content as well. I go through that in depth in the course, in the content autopilot course. So this is a real gem. So this is grinding. This is going to give us a sense. 72 questions. It's actually not very much, so I'm not sure how helpful that would be to help you decide whether this would be a good niche to do. But I can tell you, if you're writing an article on Toyotas or even a whole series on Toyotas, we're going to get some real gems here, right? Can Toyota Highlander hybrid tow? Well, I got the Highlander. Can it tow? Yeah, it can. 5,000 pounds. It's actually really cool because that's pretty high for a fairly small SUV. So there you go. Lots of good questions here. So I'm not really loving this in terms of deciding whether this is a good niche to go into, but I'm loving this if I'm in the niche. So there you go. Really, unfortunately, the best thing really is now there are others out there, okay, but most of them are paid. If you want good data, you got to pay for this search stuff. Years ago, Google had a keyword tool that everybody used that was free, and then they ruined it with these really big ranges. There was nothing really precise about it anymore, so that's not super helpful. There are other cheaper keyword research tools out there that will generate lists like this. I don't really know. I don't really keep up to date with them because I just use Ahrefs, but you could try them, and there are quite a bit cheaper. I think Uber suggests, I know it's paid. I think that's probably less money than Ahrefs, for example. So this is the process I do, because the most important metric for me is, with the model that I teach and that I do, is can I build potentially like a 20,000 article site over 10, 20 years and turn this into a monster authority site that is just absolutely awesome. That's what excites me, is building essentially a magazine website. Now, most of these magazines have websites, and they're huge, and they get tons of traffic, and they make mountains and mountains of money, mostly from ads. This is the model I'm doing. I love it. It's fun. And this is the process I do to sort of find out if the niche is right. And I think also this process is going to help you realize, like, do you want to write articles about Toyota RAV4s? Okay. It's going to give you a sense of what's out there. What are the topics you're potentially going to cover? Do you really want to do that? Is that what you're going to get excited about? So this whole process is very important in the niche selection process. Now, the other approach to niches, which I cover in a niche selection here, is we can go product oriented. Okay, this is what we call our Amazon affiliate sites. Now, we do colloquial, it doesn't have to be Amazon. You could promote Toys R Us, you could promote Home Depot, you can whatever. Most people just promote Amazon because it converts so well, but the commissions have been really chipped away over the years, so it's not as good as it used to be, but I still think there's a lot of potential with the Amazon sites. I have one, okay? It's a smartwatch site. I actually earn more from ads than from affiliate stuff, even though it's like super product oriented. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, but I'm okay with that because the ads pay really well. And I'm excited about that site because I love smartwatches, and I'm even sort of into wearables like Bluetooth, whatever stuff you can put on and do things, listen to music, whatever. So here is, if you like the whole product focus site, this is probably a really good area to research. I would tend to err on the side of a little bit broader than not. So, let's say you're really nuts about vacuums. Okay, vacuums could be a huge niche site, could be really lucrative. Everybody needs a vacuum, or most people buy one. Most people buy multiples. We've got uprights, we've got cordless, we've got the big family one that's going to do the whole house, the whole 9 yards, right? So huge niche, lots of new stuff coming out all the time. They cost hundreds of dollars, so your commission is going to be okay. So that could be a good niche. But you might consider bumping it up a little bit and go to something like, a general cleaning, house cleaning type site where you can not only cover vacuums, you can cover other things. That's my approach with all these things. So you can start with just vacuums, and you can keep it just vacuums, and it'll still make sense with a domain that's sort of clean oriented. But it gives you wiggle room to go beyond vacuums. Okay, that I always like the wiggle room, but you don't want to go broad like top10stuff.com. I mean, you can. Some people do, and I don't know how well those sites do. It's not an angle I would like. And then you want to cover like top 10 of everything in the kitchen sink. I've actually attempted that. I didn't have a great deal of success. So I typically like to at least have some parameters within it. So, you could cover any product line here. I mean, start thinking kitchen appliances, anything cleaning houses, tech, of course, kids' toys, beauty stuff, grooming stuff. Just go through the Amazon list departments. You can just go through the departments and drill down. Luggage, right? Auto parts and stuff, video games. I mean, everything. You probably drill down within these sports and outdoors. So you can definitely do a product-oriented site. I tend to prefer doing product series within a site like this. So if I were doing the food site, for instance, I could have a whole series on blenders. That would totally make sense. Or some obscure small kitchen appliance I like I don't know what's obscure. Deep fryers. I don't know. People, I guess they buy them. It's probably not that obscure, but you get the point. You do a whole series within it. So while some people might do a whole site dedicated to just deep fryers as a small appliance, you could actually do a cooking site with a lot going on, and it's cool, and include that within there. And so you have an affiliate marketing portion, and then you have your non-affiliate stuff. So that's my preference. You could still do the product-oriented stuff, but really Fat Stacks Bundle is going to be more really geared toward this type of site, the sort of the big niche site where you really zone in within with a lot of content potential. That, in a nutshell, is how I approach mostly. This is the most important process I use to uncover a niche. I really just want to see volume here for all the different terms that I would plug in here. That's really important to me. When I start seeing that, you don't have to do a whole lot. You're going to get a sense very, very quickly whether there's going to be the volume to really make this work. Now, a big question you're always going to be faced with is how broad or how narrow do you go? I wouldn't do a site on just Toyota, even though I think there's enough searches and interest in it to support a niche. I would go up the next level to autos, to cars. Okay, I really would. And then if it just focused on Toyota just because that's all the bandwidth I had and I was having success with it, that's fine. It wouldn't look weird, right? But I have potential down the road to jump into Honda, or maybe your site's so successful you end up buying Mercedes, and so you can do a whole arena on Mercedes. So there you go. This is the approach. I know it's a meandering video because this is a meandering process. Niche selection is so hard. I get a lot of questions on it. I don't really know how to answer it because I don't want to steer anybody wrong. It's just something you've just got to sort of dig around with the tools and read about. This site alone is a real gem. I really like it because it just gives you ideas. You can even go to their sites and you can get a sense of what they're looking for. You can research their sites and see what's ranking in Ahrefs. Keep in mind, these are your big authority sites, right? Like Parents Magazine Online, the website probably gets millions. I don't know, I'm guessing, okay? But I know Better Homes and Gardens is an absolute monster website. Google loves that site. Content's good. Is it the greatest? Probably not, but Google loves that site. So I could go in there and I could get a sense of a lot of what's ranking in different angles, and so you get a good sense there. Same with this I think Food Network is a monster site probably, and so you could get a lot of good ideas in there. So there you go. That's the approach. Do take care in choosing your domain name as well. I've got a section in niche selection here. You really got to take care with that. I spend quite a bit of time choosing a domain name once I know what niche I'm in, because that's going to form a fairly strong identity to your site. And so do take care, read that section very, very carefully, and try to come up with some clever ideas that make sense with the niche you choose. Thanks so much for watching.